I'm not sure where I know where it's headed. I don't know if the people are going to say, yes, let's go ahead and put the two of them back into the positions of responsibility out there, or if the voters are going to say, no, we are not going to do this. I don't know if that's going to happen at the primary level or at the general election level. And even if they make it all the way, the question is, will the speaker seat them in the House? And I don't know the answer to any of those questions. So it'll be interesting to continue to watch and see what those legislators are going to be doing in the near future.
We were talking with your colleague, Representative John Hoadley from Kalamazoo, who spent some time organizing political campaigns and has that lens through which he sees these things, and said, you know what, the two of them have a shot. If the field is crowded enough, and it's been crowded,
very crowded,
it could lend itself in their favor. Also, there is, in his view, and we'll see if it's in yours too, the notion that some folks out there think that these two have been railroaded.
It's hard to say that they've been railroaded when they walk into a meeting and they say, yes, I agree with the findings and the charges. You know, at that point in time in a court of law, you would say, well, the trial is over at that point.
Yeah, right.
And they came back afterwards and said perhaps the process isn't quite right. I know the Democrats have pointed out that they feel that it's been rushed, and they made that statement in their voting at the House as well.
Do you think that's valid?
I really don't. You know, I've talked to the people involved with the process. They all have terrific amounts of integrity personally, and I don't think that they would have rushed this process. You know, I think that it is something that when someone walks in and says, yes, this is it, it is done and over at that point, and it just becomes a question of where do we go from there.
Right. Dr. John Bizon is with us, representative from Battle Creek. We'll talk more about all of this and other subjects coming up on WBCK. 8:15 WBCK, Representative Dr. John Bizon is here with us once again in the studio, our monthly visit. So when I said railroaded, I guess there was a notion out there that, okay, here we have these two Republicans that have parted ways with some of the more powerful Republican leaders, not the least of whom is the governor, I suppose, on a certain number of subjects. Maybe they're a little bit of a thorn in the paw of some of these people, and here was an opportunity to say, out of here. What do you think about that?
Well, the Republican Party has to become very much more inclusive than it has been in the past. You know, we need to reach out both to the right and to the left. And I think that the Tea Party, that the conservatives have a great deal to say, and they have some validity to many of the things that they come forward with. And also, on the other side of the House, I take a look at some of the more conservative Democrats, and the more conservative Democrats, I think, also have values that are very much more aligned with our party than with the other. And I have reached out to many of those Democrats, and they look at it, they look at their values, and they say, why am I doing what I am doing? And I think that as a party we need to grow and become more inclusive, rather than saying that we are simply the party of the country club set, or the party of this or of that. We aren't. We have to become much, much more inclusive than what we are.
One of your colleagues has discussed, at least, maybe he's planning to introduce the idea that if someone's been expelled, they can't come back in that same spot. What's your sense about that, and would you vote for that?
I think that there is some statutory language already on the books that say that once you are expelled for the term of that office. And the question becomes, if you get reestablished, does the Speaker need to seat you? And that's an argument that's going to be held at a much higher level than what I am sitting at, of course. That's going to be something that the higher-ups out there are going to make the decision down the road. I think we need to listen to our people. We need to listen to our constituents. This is the important part of governing. You don't govern for yourself. You govern for the people that you represent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trying to get that representation right that oftentimes becomes very, very challenging. We have very many special interests in Lansing, and this past week I was reminded that there are special interests out there, and there was one bill having to do with the employment of physicians by for-profit companies whose fiduciary responsibility is not to the patient but to the stockholders. And I said, guys, this is a bright red line. We shouldn't be doing this, and ran up against that brick wall. And
Wow.
there was, for me, I thought it was pretty obvious that this was not the very best thing to do. And you ran up against that lobby, found out very quickly that ordinary citizens typically don't have the powerful lobbyists in Lansing to carry their water.
Right.
And that didn't work out, in my mind, very well for the people of this state.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess the story isn't over as much as we'd like it to be, but we'll see how this shakes out.
We will. You know, it's an ongoing story, and we really do have to listen to the people of those districts who Courser and representatives, former representatives Courser and Gamrat, have represented, and see what they say, see what their take is. And yes, John Hoadley is politically astute. He knows a great deal, and when you divide the field as much as the field has been divided, I want to say 8 ways in one race and 11 ways in the other race.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you only need to get perhaps as little as 15, 20% of the field to of the votes in order to be reelected. And funny things can happen in some of those elections.
Have you heard from anyone in our district who has piped up enough to talk to you about this whole situation?
I was influenced by a couple of the people that have come forward with me, and felt that Representatives Courser and Gamrat did not represent the values that you would expect for someone in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that they hope that it could be taken care of expediently. And as it turned out, it was early in the morning, but still, it was something that we thought was initially handled.
Mm-hmm. Right. And maybe it wasn't, maybe it was, not sure yet.
And I feel badly for both of the families involved.
Sure.
You know, this isn't just about constituents. There's a family aspect to this as well, and that family aspect needs to have healing, needs to have time, and perhaps that time has passed. We'll see what the voters say.
Yeah. It's 8:20. We're talking with Representative Dr. John Bizon today. Back in a moment on WBCK. First, coming up on 8:24, WBCK, Representative Dr. John Bizon is with us in this half hour here on a Monday morning. Pardon me. So now, seems like we ought to just check in on the road situation and see where you think we are at this point. Are we close to a deal here on this, or at least an idea of one?
I thought that we were all set to put this away. You know, the House and the Senate got together, and we said perhaps we ought to put forward a package that had about $600 in new revenues, $600 in taxes in cuts out of the budget.
Mm-hmm.
And we had sent that over to the Senate, and there was a joint committee formed. And the governor at the last minute came back saying, I don't like the way this looks in the long term. I think we need more revenues, and kind of threw a wrench into the entire workings. Right now, the quadrant, the leadership of both the Republican and Democrat, House and Senate, are getting together with the governor and trying to work out. And these are the main principles involved with the joint committee that was assigned to deal with the roads package. From my standpoint, I would be willing to stop all of the business of the House, hold up all the committee meetings in order to get roads done. You know, in many ways, I think that roads are job one. We had a survey that we had sent out to many of our constituents, and when those surveys have come back, it seems like for many of the other issues on the surveys, they're all over the board, some pro, some against. But one of the things that is consistent, a 5 across the board, is get the roads done.
Yeah.
The roads need to be addressed, and with that sort of impetus, I would be very happy if we just suspended the regular business of the House, discussed roads. If we need a new package, bring that new package forward, get together with the Senate, and make sure that there is consistency in the House and Senate response, because it's really the duty of those two bodies to present any legislation to the governor, and then the governor ought to have the right to either say, yes, this is good, this is bad,
Right.
and let him do with that bill what he wants. But I think that we, as the representatives of the people, are the ones who ought to be deciding what the road package looks like and moving forward with it.
Has that been discussed, suspending all the other business to try and do this?
I had brought it up with the Speaker, and he says that the process is coming along. So otherwise being excluded from the process, I have to believe him. And
Got it. All right.
So we'll be waiting for a word on high. In some ways, I have some personal concerns that when you come down with a plan from the bench, from the coach,
Yep.
If you're a football team, that works very, very well. I don't know if that works quite so well when you're dealing with representatives who are beholding to their constituents. They know that there has to be something that is done, but their constituents oftentimes will have conflicting views as to how to get to the goal line. And you obviously need to pull together and find out where that body is. And just saying that we have this plan is fine, especially for football teams.
All right. Well, we'll see. It sounds like there was a little movement anyway, so we'll see how that goes.
The Speaker says that they are coming along, so I presume that they probably are.
Biosimilars. We talked about this last month. This is a bill that you expect is going to move forward that you've been close to.
It is a bill that I have been close to. Biosimilars are a brand new class of medications that we have coming out. These are biologic drugs that are changing the face of medicine. They may be along the lines of anaclonal antibodies that attack specific sensors on the cell, certain markers. It could be for other diseases that it changes the parameters of medicine rather than treating, say, the inflammation of a specific disease. They change the body's response to inflammation in general. So rather than treating the disease, you're treating the body's compensation for that. And all of these are typically fairly complicated proteins. They're big, big substances compared to the simple chemicals that we've been using in the past. And for the most part, they are extremely expensive. That these could be treatments that can be in the hundreds or thousands of dollars routinely per month.
Wow.
And if you have insurance, then obviously that's a very, very good thing, and it makes it much, much harder to afford if not. A lot of the drug companies will make arrangements for the needy, but
So this is a committee discussion that has to take place, right?
we'll have an initial meeting or two in the Health Policy Committee that will discuss this, and then the Health Policy Committee will make a decision as to how they want to move forward.
Okay. Running out of time, but wanted to mention this quickly here, by the way. You're a doctor. You travel in circles here, which means rubbing elbows with other doctors. We've talked many times on the show with Dr. Gregory Herrington, who he was the Calhoun County Medical Officer, Chief Medical Officer. We understand he passed away last week. He was here in this room on Monday of last week, and we presume that you knew Dr. Herrington.
I did know Dr. Herrington. He was a incredible friend. He was incredible to have on the staff. Whenever we'd have a disease process that we were uncertain of, an infectious process, he was the person that we would typically look to. And he did a great deal throughout the county. I know that he was actively involved with the health department. He was actively involved with the Enron oil spill that they had out there. He did pulmonary disease as well as infectious disease, and I was absolutely floored when I found out late last night that his name had come up. And I knew that there was an accident out there in Penfield, but had no idea of who was involved. And,
Right.
It's just tragic, the entire episode.
Yeah, it seems to be, and our reaction was similar to yours, and we were very, very sorry to hear that today, but wanted to just bring that up for a moment because we suspected the two of you crossed paths on a
Very
medical
much.
basis. Yeah.
He will be missed dearly by this community, and my heart goes out to his family.
Dr. John Bizon, representative from Battle Creek. We'll check in again next month.
Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you. 8:30.